Beautiful. Okay, and then I think I saw Rachel too. Rachel Miss Thing. Oh, let me talk about Rachel because I see Ijama on here. Ijama, should I call you Ijama, IJ, EJ? Do you have a preference when I address you like in front of people? Because I know I call you IJ. Does it matter each way? Tell me your preference if you're in the chat box, if you can hear me. Anyways, okay. So Rachel is on, the student I told you who met me at UIU and then is my student now, and she brought that to my attention. So I'm like, oh, I'm so glad. She's nice. And Rachel, just so you know, the Ijama you see on the chat is the founder and president of UIU, FYI. So
Oh,
we love her. I love saying that to people. And for those who are less familiar, UIU is like this huge national community of Nigerians, specifically from the Igbo tribe for the most part, although we invite our friends from other tribes to join us. We have this huge national convention, and it's just like this major thing. And my girl started it all like 20 years ago. We have our 20th anniversary this August in Atlanta, I believe. So super exciting. Okay, let's jump into this. So speaking of speaking, welcome to Speak to Heal, our virtual summit hosted by me, Dr. Peace Amati. Please feel free to call me Peace on this. A TED Talk alum, and we'll talk more about TED Talk stuff tomorrow. So please join me again. But just to introduce / reintroduce myself to some of y'all. Like I said, I'm Peace Amati. I'm a clinical, let's just say, psychologist by training, but I'm an author, speaker, and professor day to day. And my whole brand, I'm going to talk about branding in a second, is I help people heal and lead. That's my thing. That's my zhuzh. That's what I feel called to, helping people both heal and lead. And specifically, why you're here is because within that, I help people get paid to speak for positive impact. So this is called Speak to Heal. I love the word healing, and that's part of my brand. But really, this is about learning to speak and get paid to speak for some sort of positive effect. I'm going to give you some really great purpose words that you can try on for size so that when people ask you what your purpose is, in general, but specifically when it comes to taking the stage, you'll have a really quick way to do that. Oh, there goes that nose again. Forgive the sniffle. So that's why you're here. And again, I want to welcome you. If you've taken a live course with me before, you've probably seen this slide 8 million times. I just love it. And I also don't like recreating the wheel when it comes to a new slideshow. So let's first double check that you're in the right place. You're in the right place if you want to inspire healing in people or growth or change in people or some sort of positive impact in people's lives, or share something that can help people, be it your personal story, a lesson you've learned, some knowledge, some research, some expertise. You want to better understand the business side of speaking, because if you want to do it, you wouldn't mind getting a little coin as you do. And you would love to boost your income with something you can do as often or as little as you'd like. That's one thing I really, really love about speaking, unique from a bunch of the other things I do, because I can decide in any given year, and any given quarter, any given month, that I want to speak because I have the time, I have the bandwidth, I can use the extra income, whatever the case may be. And no one's holding me to coming back and doing that the next month or the month after. I can not do it for the rest of the year, or I can keep filling my calendar, keep accepting requests, or keep pitching organizations. I'm going to talk about both and when to do both. But I love the flexibility that speaking has, as opposed to being a professor, which I absolutely love, you guys know, but it's, pretty much Monday through Friday. An author, you're not, signing book contracts every day. But when you do, that pretty much takes up a big portion of your year. By the way, those of you who may have been on Book Deal Boot Camp, I just want a quick testimonial because T's on here, and she Tolu signed a book contract just a couple months ago, and from taking Book Deal Boot Camp this past summer. So can we congratulate her for that huge feat? Because now the work begins, right? Of actually getting yourself ready for publishing and all of that. So I just had to, throw that testimonial out there because we've been friends forever and ever. It's funny, I was in a corner bakery a couple of days ago, Tolu, because I do have a new class this semester, and I'm like, here we go. And because her and I would spend like 4 hours minimum at coffee shops at least once a week, just prepping our classes for being full-time professors. So personal memories, work memories, a lot with her, and actually felt really honored that she trusted me because sometimes people don't trust their friends or they overlook their friends, but she literally showed up and trusted me to give her the goods. And now she's about to be a whole published author, barely signing a contract less than 6 months after she took the Book Deal Boot Camp. And that's just amazing. I'm so proud of you. So thank you for showing up again. I have a feeling in the next 6 months, you're going to be like, I had a TED Talk. And I'll be like, of course you did. So it'll be good. It'll be good. Okay. And some of y'all are on your way and life is crazy, but we're going to get it together in 2024. So if you're in the right place, if all of that applies to you, but you also don't want to overpay to learn from gurus who care more about making money than truly empowering you, it's very, very important to me that a lot of this level of access that I offer to you, I offer affordably because I know what it is. And not all my things are in this price range. Let me be clear about that. But this level of access, I have seen people offer less than I do for hundreds more dollars. And I just, it's not about just making money for me. It's about truly empowering my community. So you don't want to overpay. You don't want to spend months researching on your own to figure this all out, because it could cost you a couple months when you kind of don't really know where to look and what you're looking for to become a paid speaker. You don't want to sound amateur when you attempt to book and prepare a speaking engagement, and you don't want to waste time doing nothing about this interest you have, this hope you have, this dream, if you will, that you have. So my question for y'all, if you can let me know in the chat box, are you in the right place? Who's in the right place based off of what I just read to y'all? Yes. Yes. Yep. Love that, Lynette. Okay, at least 2 people are. I'm assuming the rest of you. Oh, Monica, I don't think I saw you. Hi, baby girl. Yay, Monica's in the right place. Hong's in the right place. Rachel's in the right place. Ida's in the right place. Cool. Claudia is in the right. Landry's in the right place. Oh, you guys are very much exciting me. Okay, cool. I'm still recording. Okay. So 1 minute story time. For those of you who came to Book Deal Boot Camp, y'all remember we were on this call for like 2.5 hours. I was trying to be very intentional, especially because it's a holiday weekend and I got things to do too, to keep things concise. So here's my 1 minute story. Fun fact for people who know me, have experienced me, you would be surprised probably to know that I was utterly opposed to anything involving public speaking. Like I was scared to death of it. Actually, that is Americans' top fear. Did you guys know that? I don't know if you know that, but Americans' top fear is actually public speaking. It's a really, really big deal for a lot of people. Like when you list all the phobias, and there's 100 phobias out there, fear of public speaking, according to research, is people's #1 fear. And I was one of those people. I was like, no, don't ask me to do that. People would ask me to come talk because they would see me in like real life. And I'm like, just because I'm good in real life and I can clown all day and I'm loud and I, as people like to say, I'm articulate, don't ask me to be on any stage. One of my predominant thoughts was I am an introvert, which surprises people too, because just because you're good and loud with people does not mean you get energy from that. It doesn't mean, that's what comes easiest to you. I do have an extroverted side. I'm probably actually, when I took the Myers-Briggs test, I was actually an X in the middle, but over the years, I think I've leaned more I based off of understanding it more and more. But anyways, I'm an introvert, which for me has meant I feel like I'm so much better at writing my words than speaking my words. So I've always said I want to be a writer. I've been a writer since birth, but I always felt like it was so much harder for me to actually speak, to like get my words out. So I'm like, don't ask me to public speak. And again, I'm part of that percentage of people who had that fear. So I'm like, how do you not throw up? Like literally, how do you not throw up on stage? I remember when I did my TED Talk, y'all. Oh my God, T was there. You were there, right, T? You weren't there? Did
I don't
I
think I was
imagine it?
there. Wasn't
Oh,
like, was that up
well,
north?
yeah, we went to San Francisco.
Yeah, I wasn't there.
Oh,
I'm sorry.
I
Support
forgive
for
you.
SoCal.
I guess we're not that good of friends. I take that back. JK.
Support from afar.
Oh, it was shady. It was shady. Oh, I'm mixing up my Nigerian friends. Okay. So a handful of friends in my family went there. And right before I got up to do my talk, I was telling them, I can't, I can't, I can't. I was about to faint. I was about to throw up. They were like, you got this, you got this. You were so good in practice. I'm like, this is not practice, you know? And it was by the grace of God, I actually took the stage, somehow found that red dot, was frozen for a little bit, and then scanned for my family and specifically my mom. My mom has always been kind of like my focal point, and I found her face and she said, "Go peace," in her big, loud Nigerian voice. And then, you know, something that helped. And then I got through it because I prepared, not because I had this ability, you know, like this natural ability to be good on stage. I prepare. I'm going to talk about all of that because I know a couple of you have shared with me you have this fear yourself. How does one even craft a good talk? Like what all goes into that? Because if I'm going to do something, I want to be good at it. I have that perfectionist, you know, achievement oriented side of me. What should I charge? Have any of you wondered that? Let me know in the chat box if you're curious about like what does one charge? What does one make as a speaker? Like if that's been a question of yours, yes, T, right. There's such a huge range. Definitely. Yep. Curiosity. Good, good, good. We'll talk about that. You may be surprised. And then could I actually become a speaker people love? Because again, if I'm going to do something, I want to do it well. So this is a picture of me not speaking. This is a picture of me recording my book for audio. And I remember, you know, having a conversation with the guy, the producer, like, do you speak? I was like, no, nah. You know, like I can, but, and this is just a few years ago that I'm like, I can, but I'm not super, super comfortable. It's only if, you know, XYZ happens. And he was like, you should like take it more seriously. You're really good at this. And I'm like, this is not speaking. Anyways, all to say, I was that person. And then fast forward to countless paid and purpose-filled speaking gigs, sold out books and services because there's something very powerful that happens after you speak, especially if people remember you or like you, whatever you're selling, they will buy. So every time that I spoke, including at UIU that I was talking about earlier, and I brought like a suitcase full of books and sold every single one just because we just had a really great time together. A TED Talk, the gift that keeps on giving, connecting with folks all over the country and internationally, and opportunities to share parts of my story, which for me is a healing practice of my own. And last but not least, a significant boost in my annual income because I don't do this every day. Okay. Emails and DMs from people telling me that I've changed their lives for the better, which is the most beautiful and humbling thing ever. And then, of course, more paid speaking invitations, of course. And so I will say that live speaking has become one of my favorite ways to show up in my life. And that's why I want to share the blueprint for landing paid and purpose-filled speaking gigs of your own. So this is what we're doing for the next 2 mornings. It's going to be short, powerful, and sweet. I am watching the time. We're great on time as of now. Some parts will get a little nitty gritty. Some parts will be just like talking. But I can pretty much promise you, you're going to find value in these next 2 mornings. So we're going to talk about developing your speaker brand, landing paid speaking gigs, and mastering the business side for the most part today, and then crafting and delivering the perfect talk with the bonus of landing a TED Talk all tomorrow. And both days we will have time for questions, which I personally think is where the magic happens. So I think we're ready. I'm going to go ahead and jump right in. Part 1, develop your speaker brand. I find that I really love the conversation of branding, and messaging. Like, it's my favorite part of coaching when it comes to helping people write books, helping people speak, helping people create courses, like figuring out what you're going to say, why you're going to say it, how you're going to say it happens to be one of my favorite aspects of the whole thing. I'm not really sure why. Maybe it has to do with my own calling. But a speaker brand, just to give you a working definition, is the unique combination of your purpose, your message, your values, your personality, and your personal style that makes you both credible and memorable to your audience. And you want to be both credible and memorable. So based on that definition, the 5 questions you want to ask when identifying your speaker brand, ooh, let me say this, by the way, because it's important. I am actually going to send you guys this slides. I never do this because it's kind of like, when you put it out there, you don't know where it'll end up. But when I thought about the best way to give you guys materials, there's a couple links in here. There's a lot in here that I'm like, you know what? I'm just going to gift them with the slide that has the links and everything. So you feel free to take notes. Obviously, you'll get the recording, but you're actually going to get these slides and the links to the resources that I use. You're welcome. You're welcome. You're welcome. Yes, I've never done that. So all I ask is that you don't share them widely. Okay, so the 5 questions you want to ask when identifying your speaker brand: what's your purpose? Who's your audience? What's your message? What's your style? And what makes you credible? We're going to walk these step by step. Okay, so first of all, identifying your purpose. Let me get this Zoom thing out of the way. Why do you want to speak? Okay, that's the first question you want to ask yourself. Or why are you interested in speaking? Because some of you guys are still on the fence. Maybe you don't believe you can. I believe anyone can who wants to, but you got to know why you want to do it. What's your main goal or mission? Okay, your purpose is the core of your brand and the driving force behind your talks. You're going to feel like you're pulling your hair out or trying to pull things out of thin air when it comes to either being requested to speak or pitching to speak, if you don't first know your purpose. So you want to get really clear about that. And your purpose should align with your experiences and your expertise. And when I say experiences, I mean your experiences. I mean that one thing you went through 5 years ago or 10 years ago or 20 years ago or yesterday. Okay. I mean the traumas to the triumphs. I mean what happened that you've barely been able to tell about anybody to the time you got your master's or your PhD. Like all of this, all of those experiences count. All of those experiences are things that you can turn to be really, really helpful to people who are in the same position or want to be in the same position as you. So I'm counting nobody out, and nobody else should count themselves out when I say experiences. And of course, expertise comes with dedicated investment in learning some trade, some skill, some field. So those of you who do have your master's, or you do have your doctorate, or you've been working, in a field for years and years and years, that's all expertise. And I love giving this to people because it seems to help people get it that much more easily. Here's some purpose words that you can use: inform, educate. Maybe you want to empower or equip or encourage or entertain or help or heal or transform or change people's lives or inspire. The list goes on, but I want you to what is your first impression? This is a rhetorical question. Which one of those words kind of grabs you? Do you see yourself as an informer or educator or an empowerer or someone that helps heals or someone that helps transform? I know heal, I think that's why I bolded it, has always been one that has caught me. And then even help, as like kind of lame as that sounds, but my brand statement is literally, I help people heal and lead. So I can say I heal people, but that sounds a little, preposterous. So I help people heal and I help people lead. And that has worked for me for years and years and years, okay, as sort of a purpose statement. So to identify your purpose, I'm going to start right there, like which one of those words call out to you, but what in general do you feel called to do based on your experiences and based on your expertise? Use those purpose words. Those purpose words will clearly help you articulate your brand, your purpose statement, if you will. It's really windy outside. And then what's your unique approach to this calling? Like, is there a specific problem you want to solve when it comes to helping or empowering? Is it empowering, Monica is on the line. Is it empowering women in their 20s and 30s who've been through divorce to like reclaim their lives? Okay, is that the specific problem? Do you want to bridge specific worlds? Mine is that speaks to me because I've always wanted to bridge mental health and faith. So I put this on the slide here to give you an example of what's on my website and specifically like my speaking tab. So I find a way to throw in my credentials, which I'll talk about shortly, equipped with a doctorate in clinical psych and a lifetime of craziest faith. That speaks to the people of faith that is part of my audience. Dr. Peace and Body speaks at the intersection of mental health and faith to help people heal and lead. So I've kind of in one clear, succinct sentence shared with people my calling, helping people heal and lead, okay? And then like my unique approach, intersecting at mental health and faith, okay? Am I making sense, my people, in this chat box? Thank you, T. I do like it. I've evolved that over the years, and beautiful. I'm glad that's making sense. And again, because you're going to get these slides, you'll be able to really sit, and that's going to be your homework, even though I'm not going to, well, maybe I will have you bring something to me tomorrow. But that's how clear and succinct you want it to be, but that's also how easy it can be. If you think about purpose words and you think about your unique approach. By the way, if there are questions, I have dedicated times to ask you guys about your questions. 2, identify your audience. Who are you speaking to? Your audience is the source of your brand. Literally, it's their needs, their challenges, their goals that justify you being on stage. Why else are you up there? Because it's not about you. It shouldn't be about you. It was never about you. You're not being invited to speak for you. You're being invited to speak for them. So who are they? And what do they need from you, want from you in general? Okay. Pro tip, those of my Authorpreneur Accelerator book clients they've had this drilled into their minds, but you are your first audience. Like if you yourself wouldn't be sitting front and center at your own talk, like if you're not speaking to you, maybe the you of yesterday, the you of 5 years ago, then you aren't speaking to the right folks. I can tell you right now who's credible by looking at what they're speaking about and what they've been through. Okay, what they're speaking about and what they've learned, what they've invested time and money and resources into learning themselves. That should match. Okay, so if you are on the stage, you should be imagining yourself speaking again to the you of yesterday. And that's a very quick way to know who your audience is. If I'm speaking about anxiety, it's for 2 reasons. 1, I manage anxiety, and 2, I spent 6 years and over $100,000 learning about anxiety. Okay, so I can talk about anxiety. So to identify your audience, who makes sense for you to speak to, not just who do you want to speak to, who makes sense for you to speak to? Is it moms? Is it educators? That's T's thing. Is it athletes? Is it men? Or more specifically, Black men, or Hispanic men, or white men, or biracial men, whatever the case may be, who does it make sense for you to speak to because you're part of that audience yourself? What are their needs and challenges and goals? And you can get a head start on that by thinking about what were my needs and challenges and goals yesterday, 1 year ago, 4 years ago, 10 years ago. Okay, and what are their hopes and dreams? And again, you can get to the heart of that by asking yourself, what are your hopes and dreams? Or what were your hopes and dreams that you've been able to accomplish or are really damn close to accomplishing now? Okay, so that's number 2, identify your audience. Number 3, identify your message. This, for some reason, is one that people get a little stuck on, but it's really just about sitting with it, but being clear about what exactly you're sitting with. And I give you an example from my website, and we're going to look at another kind of worldwide example in a moment. But your message is, what are you actually saying? Like, what are the actual words coming out of your mouth? You're not going to go, like, I'm not going to get on stage and say, hi, I'm here to speak to you. My mission is to help people heal and lead at the intersection of mental health and faith. The end. Okay, that's my purpose, that's my driving force, that's my impetus, if you will, of my talk, but that's not what I'm actually saying. I need to think through the type of talks it actually makes sense for me to give. Okay, your message is the essence of your brand. It's what your brand feels like and smells like and tastes like and feels like. I may have already said that. But if your purpose is a tree trunk, your message you can think about them as the branches. Okay, you can think about your message as your one speaking topic or your handful of speaking topics, because you don't want too many that are all rooted in your purpose. With a brand statement like heal, I help people heal. Even just that part alone, I really need to think about what am I actually saying, because healing is a big, broad word. So is empower. So is inspire. Inspire people to what? Heal in what way? Okay. Educate people about what specifically. That's what your message is all about. The actual words that are coming out of your mouth. Okay. And you can have one central one, you can have two, you can have a handful. And I actually have a handful, but they're kind of in three categories. So if you look on the right here, obviously because of my expertise, but also my experience, and added to that, my book, which is part of my expertise and experience, I have mental and emotional health as one message, but there's kind of sub messages because mental and emotional health is still very broad. So if I'm going to speak, I can speak about the power of thoughts and beliefs, anxiety, grief, sadness, discouragement, trauma, comparison, and shame. And those are very specific to my book. So I wrote a whole book called Why Do I Feel Like This? And those were literally the chapters. So when I create a talk about anxiety, if somebody wants me to come speak about anxiety, I just go to the chapter in my book that I already spent a year writing and turn that into a talk. Okay. Before writing this book, I might have just picked thoughts and beliefs and anxiety and kept it simple. But now that I have content that is easy for me to pull out of, I can speak to any one of those. Spiritual health, the reparative church, the anti-work of spiritual bypassing. Again, those are two concepts from my book, things I've always thought about, but now I've like named them more specifically because it came from my first book. And social media and mental health, that's on there because that was the content of my TED Talk. So I've been very strategic in telling people at this point in my career what I speak about based off of content I already have. Now, if you don't have content already, then I would definitely stick to that one or two messages, maybe based on a personal story or personal experience. Okay. And just keep it short and sweet. This is what I speak about, period. Keep it simple for yourself. I see a couple, but yes, don't reinvent the wheel. Never, never reinvent the wheels. Too many wheels. It's too many wheels. Don't reinvent it. Okay. So the questions you should keep in mind is, what are your main topics? Choose just a few. And then what are your key takeaways for each? That you'll spell out a little bit more in the outline I'm going to show you. I think I don't know if it's today or tomorrow, but those are places to start. And I just want you guys to be building this blueprint, right? That you're obviously going to have to sit down with and make your own. I'm just giving you the template this morning. Anyways, let's look at one of my favorite personal development thinkers, content creators, writers, Mel Robbins. She has like the 5th most popular podcast literally on the globe. Okay, millions follow her. I really don't miss I love this woman. I don't know my attraction to this, 55-year-old white woman, but I love her. Love her, love her, love her. Again, don't miss an episode. I just eat her up. I think if you guys are all on my mailing list, I shared like some questions that were impactful to me. But what I love about talking about her, she's super huge, right? Like super, super huge. Yet, and her podcast, she's dealt with hundreds of topics. Yet when it comes to being requested to speak, homegirl is very clear that, you find it, Mel's 2 speaking topics. Two. Okay. She interviews people about a million different things. She can speak to a million different things. She has all kinds of experiences. She's a mom to young adult children. I believe she struggled with alcoholism at some point. Just if you listen to her podcast, I mean, she's gone through everything. She had a talk show once, it got canceled. She said it was the worst year of her life. I was like, oh my gosh. Then she did this podcast and just this is really her thing. Anyways, with all that she knows, she keeps it simple. She talks about two things, the 5-second rule and the high five habit. Now, for her, those are also books. So she talks about the 5-second rule because, and it's literally the rule that you can do anything if you just count down 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go. She has a, TED talk on that too as well. And then her other book is The High Five Habit. So this, I'm showing you this not because I'm trying to convert you into Mel Robbins freaks like I am, but because she's huge and she knows 100 million things, and she herself keeps it very, very simple when it comes to her message. Now, I think her purpose is this, I don't know if this is the best thing to pull out from her purpose, but if you go to her website, she's really big on, her purpose word is literally change. She helps people change their lives. And that sounds so broad, right? So broad, potentially boring. If I was starting out, I don't think I would start that broad. I think she can get away with being that broad because of who she is, but that is her purpose. I'm trying to see if I can find it. I won't spend too much time here. This is a cute website. Okay, I don't know what but if you look her up, it's on her podcast. If you look at her podcast, I think the subtitle is "You Can Change Your Life." Am I making that up? Yeah, or "You Can Change," period. She changed that recently. You can change. So that's her purpose. Her purpose word is change. Or I would even say helps people change. But the key word there is change. That's all she does. Her whole brand, everything she does, her millions of followers. And I think I recently read that she gets, her speaking fee is $50,000 per gig, per hour. Like, yo. It's not just change your life. Okay. So that's how simple purpose and message needs to be. And hopefully that was a helpful example. Let me reload this. No, you didn't take me to the beginning, did you? With the slow internet. Give me 1 second. Was the Mel Robbins example helpful? A little bit. Does that make sense? Are you guys there? Are you there? Can y'all still hear me? Okay, I see one. Somebody. Thank you. All right. So she's only got 2 topics, and that's all I wanted to see. Now you want to identify your style. This is the 4th or the 5th one that we're going to talk about before we move on. Identify your style. How are you saying what you want to say? Okay. Your personality and personal style is the outward expression of your brand. It should be authentic, engaging, and aligned with you. So you want to ask yourself, what's going to be like the typical mood of your talk? Are you going to be that like serious, educated person? Are you going to be that jokey, lighthearted person? Are you going to be the person that really drives down people's street and knows how to like bring out emotion? And so people leave, did I get that? People leave in tears, and maybe that's not what you set out to do, but that's what seems to happen when you talk. And so you welcome that, you lean into that now. And I say that with experience because I think because of the type of things I talk about and then the way I go in, I'm learning kind of from being my own, like observing myself from the outside looking in. I start with a lot of jokes and then I work with emotion. So people laugh at the beginning of my talks and then leave crying. And at first I'm like, what's going on? But that just seems to be just a natural expression of like how I, how I come to the stage. So now I embrace that. I'm not scared of that. I don't run away from that. I've learned how to help people create boundaries. I've learned how to say things like, okay, think about a traumatic moment, but please think about a moment on a scale of 5, not the most traumatic thing you've ever been to, because I know now like how this goes. So I lean into that and I've learned how to work with that. So I understand the tone of my talks. It's fun and then it hits the emotions. Okay. So those of you who are experienced speakers, think about what happens in the room. Are people just enlightened and really thankful because you give solid information? Embrace that, lean into that, like geek out about that. Say, okay, I'm a geek about this. And by the end of this talk, you're going to be a geek too. Like we're going to geek out together on how amazing this information is. Okay. And let that be your tone, like geeking out. Okay. We're all different. We're all created differently and nobody should strive to be somebody they're not. So what are those verbal elements that you're going to use? Is it going to be the humor? Is it going to be the little anecdotes from work or personal? Is it going to be metaphors? Are you going to be that person that says, picture this? Okay. Like, I think I tried that once and I didn't work for me. So I just left it. I'm not the picture this person. I'm like, let's have a good time. And then you're not going to know what's coming. All of a sudden we're going to be crying together and it's going to be all right. Okay. And then what are the nonverbal elements that enhance your delivery? What's your body language? Are you the person that's going to pick one person in the crowd and keep your eyes on them for a couple seconds to connect? Are you never going to look at people's eyes? Are you going to be that person that looks back and forth between the slides in the back of the room? Because if you don't do that, you're going to throw up. That's okay. But lean into that. Let that be your thing. And then what's your actual stage style? So I put this girl, Jen Gottlieb, on here, not because I'm telling you to be like her, but because I thought she made a great point. She was posting on Facebook that she's gotten told that she's too provocative because she really likes short skirts, you can tell. That she's applied to things and then feedback comes back to her manager. We love her content, but she dresses to nightclub. And then she talked about how she used to let that get her down, but now she owns it and she embraces it and she leans into it and she only pitches and accepts requests that allow her to be her. So I would never dress like this to speak. Like, I don't even dress like this in real life. I kind of like the midi length. I kind of like making, like, I'm wearing a turtleneck now. I kind of like making the cover up sexy. I don't know why that's my thing, but even this was my exact TED Talk outfit. Like this exact turtleneck is what I wore to my TED Talk, and like this other gray skirt, because I've always liked minimal dressing, but then finding a way to make that feminine. And I embrace that. Sometimes I like to be funky every once in a while, depending on the mood, but all to say, own whatever your style is, but know what your style is and let that be comfortable. Speaking of Mel Robbins, she talks about, she has this pair of red pants that makes her feel really good. And, recently she was bloated and the red pants were tight and she was looking real puffy, but she was still wearing that red pants because that's her thing. So keep that in mind. Let me see if these are, yes, T. I didn't want to call you out in case you didn't embrace that, but I was like, T would geek out. She's a geek. That's yeah. So I'm glad that you embraced that. Like, because I think that's awesome. By the way, let me pause. And can you guys in the chat box tell me one thing that you found really helpful so far? Is it grouping? Is it thinking about your style? Is it the purpose words? Just one thing that's been kind of at least a little bit illuminating for you and this so far, just because I'm curious. Okay, purpose word. Okay, purpose words and grouping. Okay. Anybody else have free hands? Understanding your audience. Good, Rachel. Good. Rachel, you like turtlenecks too. Would you be a turtleneck speaker? Do you think that's going to be you? I wish this was like iPhone so you can see. Okay, good. You can see if people are actually typing, but you can't. So I'm going to move on because who knows what's happening. Identify your credibility. Okay. Identify your credibility is the last of this section. We're going to move on. So you want to think about why. Oh, hold on, I got more. Monica, what are you actually talking about? I feel like I have so much I want to say, but I need more time to think about it. Yes, you do have a lot to say, but also, Monica, you've done a lot of work on the book side as far as getting your at least one of your messages out. So if you were to start speaking today, and I know you have like work stuff, but if you were to start speaking today based off of what you're writing in your book, you essentially already have one of your messages. And it's that, it's not divorce to death. Damn it. What is it? Damage, not divorce. Divorce, not damage. And so if you turn that, there we go, into the flip side of that, whether it's like, I forget, what did you last have on your Instagram? Like there was a suggestion, like what's the end goal? Is it redesign? Was that the word you used? You can unmute yourself too. You guys, if I'm asking you directly, feel free to unmute just so it's like quicker. But yeah, redesign. Okay, so that is something, that's a message right there. And that could be one message to start with when it comes to your brands. But definitely think about it because you do have a lot to say. A lot of us have a lot to say. Okay, but last bit on this section, identifying your credibility. Why should they listen to you? Your experience, your expertise, your authority verifies your brand and earns trust. So you do want to have something that verifies and builds trust, what you're about to say. It should be established, demonstrated, and maintained. And I want to harken back to what I was saying earlier about this doesn't mean you need to have a PhD, but it means that you should be speaking from experience of some sort. And that experience is credibility. If you want to get up on stage and tell rape survivors how they can heal, and you've actually, very unfortunately, have been through a rape, you absolutely have credibility. You have more credibility than I have credibility talking to rape survivors because I have not gone through that experience. So I can come at that from an academic perspective, from a therapy perspective, but from a personal, I went through this, I can't. But someone who has can. So never doubt credibility when you're talking from experience. That's a very, very powerful form of experience. Okay. No, you're okay, Monica. You're good. I do remember you went to Nigeria. So to build your credibility, find a seamless way to share on the stage your credentials, especially if you weren't introduced. If you send the organizer your bio and you're introduced, you don't need to talk about your credentials again. If your experience is your story, find a way to include your story, whether it's the whole talk or a part of your talk. You can share testimonials, facts, statistics, or examples, so on and so forth. So do I have any questions about this part before we move on? Any preguntas? Okay, I think we're good. Again, I can't tell. Yeah. Okay, thank you.
Sorry, I have a question. So
Okay, yes, talk to me.
sorry, when we're talking about the purpose statement, would you compare it to like having your elevator pitch if someone were to ask you, like give me like a quick 30-second overview of kind of, like you said, like how you want to inspire, empower, and transform?
I would consider it more succinct than a purpose statement because a purpose statement, like you said, is 30 seconds, but no. An elevator pitch is like 30 seconds to a minute on the whole ride in an elevator, right? A purpose statement is really like mine, I work at the intersection of mental health and faith to help people heal and lead. So if you're talking about something short and sweet that helps people understand what you do, yes, they're the same, but a purpose statement, I would say, is even shorter and more concise than an elevator pitch. Does that make sense, Rachel? Rachel, which purpose word did you like, actually?
I like to inspire, empower, and transform.
Okay, which one did you like of those three the most?
Empower.
Perfect. That's it. If there's even a part of you that's like, I like this one a little bit better, don't try to, everybody struggles with this. They try to cover all the bases. Your thing is empower because you like that the most. So there's something about empowering. Now, who do you like to empower? Women, students, men, Africans?
Black women.
Black women. Perfect. Look how we're almost there. Now empower them to do what, Rachel?
To have voices and
Ooh, a
environment,
voice about what?
to have the confidence to take up space. Not shrink.
Ooh, I like all of that. So you can massage that. I love that. You can massage that a little bit, but so far I'm hearing Rachel Ah. Is it Ah or Awe? I meant to ask.
Always. Yeah.
Awe. Okay. I was like, I remembered you're Nigerian. You know, we do funny things with our letters. So I empower Black women to take up space. You know, maybe I might add in their jobs or in their marriages or in their lives or, you know, to make it even more specific. But that right there is a purpose statement. I
Okay.
empower Black women to take up space, or I empower Black women to speak their voice.
Okay. I
You
like
feel
that.
me?
Yes.
Yeah, I like it too. I'm so good at what I do. Thank you, gosh. Don't mind me, but sit with that. Lynette says amazing. Yes, that was amazing. So sit with that, but that is shorter than an elevator pitch. That's just boom, this is what I do. And if that was on your materials, your website at some point, your, you know, the leading sentence in your bio that you write at some point, that is going to be very clear. And the clearer it is, and the more specific it is, the more enticing it is, the more magnetizing it is. The more you get into the words and the nitty gritty and the details, like to me, just off top, and maybe people can resonate, you saying, inspire, empower, transform. I was like, okay. But when you just said, I empower Black women to do this, now that's powerful. Did you guys feel like, did you feel the difference and just being like, this is what I do, period?
Yes, I definitely felt the difference. And I think you're right about wanting it to be concise. So your
Yep.
audience knows exactly what they're getting into.
Exactly. And then they can immediately make a decision whether this is for them or not. That's the other powerful thing, because you don't want to speak to everybody. You want to speak to the people you're supposed to speak to. And the more broad statement, the more options you give them, the more people are like, okay, well, is this me? Or I don't know. But if you say, hey, I empower Black women to take up space, and if I'm not a Black woman, I'm like, okay, this is not for me. If I already feel like I'm taking up space, or I don't want to take up space, I'm not checking for that, then okay, this is not for me. But if I know in my heart, how do I take up space? Like, how do I make myself known, seen, heard, whatever? Then I'm immediately all ears because you just spoke to me.
Peace. I
Cool.
also had a question.
Okay, I'm gonna get to you, Monica, and then that look, write down what my assistant Tolu wrote. With the speak to heal co-speaker, that is a great way to put it all together. See, geek out. And that's her thing. This is what your book's about. Like, I just know it helps educator, right? Remind me.
I empower I'm kidding.
No, do it.
That's about creating meaningful professional learning experiences within the education realm.
That's right. And in your book, that's literally what you pitched, right? Yeah. So I know I'm waiting for the book so I can go and compare it to how I've been teaching all my years. Like, am I doing a good job? Thank you, T. Okay, Monica, what was your question?
My question is on having separate kind of personal brand styles for kind of professional versus personal. I know that we've spent a lot of time kind of talking about kind of my personal experience and kind of what I want to do in that space. And that's been kind of what I've led with, but I'm also in a space where I'm kind of thinking about my professional career and what I want to do. And I kind of want to shift away from working for people to kind of just doing my own thing and consulting. And I've been kind of building up speaking engagements in that space. So I guess where you've kind of provided examples kind of in your world where you're able to bring the two together and kind of align personal and professional, how do you kind of navigate that process when you're doing it separate? So what I do in the workspace is more kind of educating, policy advocacy, informing, and my style there
So
is
what's your word?
lot.
Is it
I
educate
don't know
or
if
inform?
I would say inform over educate.
Okay.
Yeah.
Who? Policymakers?
Yes.
Okay. About
Health equity is my focus. That's my specialty.
so that's it. So that's it for professionally. So what I'm hearing you say is like, what do you do when you have two separate things, one in your personal life, one in your professional life, right?
Yeah, just like for branding purposes and stuff. Because like I said, what I've led with is like personal, but I'm kind of now trying to separate my two worlds, if that makes sense, because I don't see how they come together.
Okay, so they do come together, but you have to figure that out. That's not going to be something that you're going to be able to do overnight necessarily, but you're one person with one purpose. It just happens to look different personally and professionally.
Mm.
So I had to tackle this too, because heal and lead, I kind of forced them together, right? Like I'm not talking about, from the outside looking in, you don't assume that teaching people how to write books has anything to do with helping people heal. But I have found a way. But you're in my program, you know how much healing goes into, you know what I mean? Learning
Yes.
how to write books and speak. So I have found how they work together. Is it going to happen overnight? No. Is it okay to just have two separate purpose statements for the time being? Yes. But also in the background, think about the story of Monica in general. There's one byline through that. There's one byline through that, or through line. Is it byline or through line, Tulu? Do you know what I'm trying to say? I'm going to ask you because is it
Through
byline or the?
line.
Through line, thank you. Oh yeah, byline's like personal, like I'm Pisamati professor.
Yeah, it's like a
Yeah,
subtitle kind of.
thank you. The through line. Okay, thank you. So Monica, it's there's one through line to your life. And I think there's one umbrella that would capture both of these. But until that point, because that can be something that takes years to figure out. It's literally taken me years to figure out why I'm so drawn to healing, but also so drawn to leadership, like to helping people lead, you know? And you can see in my verbiage, I just kind of smash them together in a way that makes sense. And when you look at my work, you see how I'm doing both, but for a while it was just like, I do this and I do this. So that's okay for now. Create two separate purpose statements for now, but be thinking, and because you're in AA, we can do this together, about what that through line is just for Monica as a person.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Good work. All right, so we're gonna move on because the next part is a little nitty gritty. This part is literally 2 seconds. This part 3 that I want to get to is nitty gritty, but remember you guys are getting this slide. So I just want to make sure I give you direction on how to look at everything. So land paid speaking gigs. So I'm about to tell you, right, the secret to landing paid speaking gigs. If I can work this mouse. Can you guess what it is? That's a rhetorical question. The secret to landing paid speaking gigs is to pitch. As in yourself, as in pitch yourself to speak. Okay. Spoiler alert. That's also the secret to landing TED Talks. If you don't know, now you know. 99% of people who land TED Talks, particularly TEDx talks, because there's a difference. We're going to talk about that tomorrow, are people who pitch themselves, and maybe a few of them were recommended, but there are people who knew the process to pitching and pitched well who are on that stage, AKA me. I pitched myself, and I'm going to talk about all of that and even show you almost embarrassingly. I think my subject title was, I called myself the Black Brene Brown. And they really like that. But we're going to talk about that tomorrow. So that's a secret. We're going to circle back to that in the next few sections. So that's all going to come together in section 3 and then section 5 tomorrow. Okay. But I just, wanted to let you know why I skipped that so fast, because it's coming. So that said, let's get to part 3. Mastering the business side of speaking. So this is going to get to the heart of how exactly, what is this pitch? How exactly does this look? What do I do? Whether I'm being requested to speak, because that's going to start happening for some of you when you put some things in place, or when I want to pitch to speak, there's going to be one thing that's different from the top, which is the being requested versus the pitching, and then everything else is going to be the same. So let's zoom through this, because I just have this ambitious goal of getting you out of here in an hour and a half-ish, and then whoever can stay long, I can take some questions, but definitely not 2.5 hours like last time. Even though I think the book deal just demanded more of that time. So mastering the business side of speaking, whether you pitch first or they reach out, you'll need a step-by-step process that will take the guesswork out of the process and serve you every time. I'm happy to share now my 5-step booking process that I've never shared anywhere before, and that serves me every time. So here it is. You're going to send something called a pre-event questionnaire. I'm going to talk about all of this a little bit more. You're going to consider the request. What's the date? What's the topic? What's the budget before you make your decision? If it's a yes, you're going to send a service agreement or, a contract, or request theirs if they have something that they want you to sign. You're going to update your calendar. That's very, very important. Back when I was more green, I would say yes, send a contract, and then forget to actually put the date in my calendar. And then freaked out one time when I realized, I think it's like this week I'm supposed to be speaking. I haven't prepped, I haven't done anything. So like I include that as a step on its own. So you don't forget that crucial part of put this date in your calendar, as well as include a date where you're going to actually sit down and prep the talk. And then you're going to send a bio and headshot. That typically comes with every speaking engagement. So number one, send a pre-event questionnaire as a response to an inquiry. So now, some of you in the future, you're going to get emails like I do that say, hey, I would love you to come speak at so-and-so. And that is a very overwhelming place to start a conversation. Like, this is about to change the game for y'all, because it's changed the game for me. The correspondence will be wild if you just try to go in like blank like that. So this was passed on to me by a mentor of mine like 15 years ago. I always say, never say anything until you collect all the information in one place through what I call a pre-event questionnaire. And this is a picture of what it looks like, but I'm going to actually take you to mine. And again, you guys will have the link. You guys will have the slides that will link to this, so that you can make this your own. You can make it prettier. You can, put your colors, whatever. I don't care. This has worked for me very simply. But if you see, and I don't know why my computer is being so slow, but if you see, this is actually PowerPoint or Google Slides. Okay, it's saved in a folder and actually I have an assistant that handles all of this. I'll talk about that later. So when people ask me, when they email my personal email, I just forward it to Book Peace Amati, and then she knows the steps to do this. But if you see, it's just a little document where I collect the name of the event, get the website, a contact's name and title, email, phone, event location, date and time, how long, in person, digital, theme and purpose of the event, topic. Wait, something missing here. Person, theme, event. Oh, something's missing. Oh, I'm so glad we caught this. I'm so glad I caught this. Something got accidentally deleted. I'm gonna have to make a note. I'll make a note later. Because, there we go. I was like, it's missing, because it used to be 1 page, now it's 2, because there's like the most important thing on here. So all this information you could adopt, how many people, presentation format. Page 2, what is your budget? I have found that to be the most important question to collect. It prevents me from having to play guessing games. Like, what are they working with? Okay. What are you working with? Like, just tell me what you're working with. When people skip that part, because people will, because people don't like talking about money and they don't want you to be too expensive, then you say, I noticed you happen to miss the budget. What is the budget for your event? So they can tell you we have no budget, in which case me at my level of my career have a kind of spiel about not taking non-paid speaking engagement because I don't anymore at this time. Back in the day, would I have? Yes. I'm going to talk about how to make that decision, but now, no. So then they would get like a follow-up of like what my standard charge is, and can they get a little bit closer to that if it's not working. But for those of you who are like, I don't know what to charge, I just want to start speaking, I don't want to talk about money, whatever, this is like a perfect way to just see where they're at. And if you're brand new and in there they put $200 and that sounds great to you, cool. If they say 500 and that sounds great to you, cool. If they say 1,000, cool. If that's not going to work for you, now you know where their starting point is and you can start the conversation and negotiate or just not take it or whatever the case may be. Again, I'm going to talk about how to make that decision. But collecting all this information up front has been super, super key for me, knowing how to navigate these requests and know how I want to deal with it. And then here's more like, if the event is not in Houston, because I'm currently in Houston, are you going to provide this, that, and a third? Some people will be like, yeah, we got you, or no, I'm sorry, we can't, we can cover your hotel, we can't cover your flight, so on and so forth. It will all depend, and you get to make the decision about what's going to work for you. Okay, so going back to this part, I get a request, and then I have this little blurb that says, greetings, my name is, so this is from my assistant's perspective, my name is Shaylisa, and I'm Dr. Mani's assistant. We'd love to learn more about your event. To help with that, I have included our pre-event questionnaire that will help us with organizing this information. Would you please complete this form and return it to us at your convenience? Let me know if you have any questions. I attach that, or she attaches that to the email, and we wait to see what they say. Now, here is my cold tip. Wait, Lynette, why are you saying yikes? Chat, tell me in the chat as I continue. But here is my tip. Some people are going to be like, what if you don't have an assistant? You can say this yourself easily, or you can be your own assistant. So I'm going to keep it real with y'all. 10 years ago, I got this tip from someone, a mentor. I created Book Peace Amati. I didn't have no assistant, but I wrote this as an assistant. I wrote the email. So they didn't know they were talking to me. They were talking to, if you can see my fingers, my assistant. And for some reason, it just made it so much easier to have these conversations and negotiate, knowing that they didn't realize they were talking to me. Does that make sense, people? Like, let me know in the chat box, because this is like really like this changed the game for me. Exactly. Oh, okay. She's talking about pitching in general. Yes, it can. I totally get that. The introverted side will kick it up. But again, if you take the pressure off yourself, have like a booking email. Let's say you don't have an assistant. You can have an assistant. You can just, I'm whatever, so-and-so's assistant, and start collecting this information. Same thing with the pitch. So that's just like a tip that I've used back in the day when I didn't actually have someone. If I was too nervous to actually say, hey, I'm Dr. Mani and I would love to learn more about this event. Now, I actually wasn't comfortable just, pitching myself, hey, I'm Dr. Mani. But I know some people are. And so you can use that as a tip. Do you have questions about that? Does that sound weird to you guys? I want to know how you guys feel about that. Is that weird? Is that interesting? Does that feel normal? Who's in here? Lynette loves it. It makes sense to Hong. Ajama says it makes sense. Yeah, take the edge off. Exactly. Nobody has to know. Claudia likes it. Beautiful. So just keep that in mind. Don't let this be the thing that stops you, basically. So that's the first step. You send this pre-event questionnaire, okay? And then, what do I have here? Is that the same slide I just did? So assuming that they send it back, because most people will, if they're really interested in having you speak. Remember, these are people that are requesting you. Consider the request. Does the date and time work? Does, let's just say time. Does the budget work? Are you, what they're saying they can give you, is it acceptable to you? or at least close, given maybe it's like a small church, like a small church or whatever, or I can't think of anything else, but I do have a slide where I want to talk about how to make the decision. How to make the decision. Sorry, my words are slurring a little bit. Do the accommodations work? Is it okay that they can't fly you out? Okay, look at everything because this is your decision. This is your decision. Now, I will say if you're first starting out, I think it's okay to accept a lot of things because you want to start building your repertoire. You want to start gaining experience, right? You need to start getting comfortable on stage. You need to start getting footage of you on stage. Like all of this stuff could actually be more worth it than money. Someone who's been speaking for years, like I have, things have to come a little, I have certain expectations. But that being said, there could be something so valuable, an organization so valuable to speak at that I will be a little bit more giving, where I'm totally fine that they don't fly me out or they don't pay me because I really want to be there. I know the type of connections I can make there. I know that I can still get paid in another way. I want to sell books, right? So like this is all things that you have to consider based on what your goals are for what you're going to accept and not accept. And this is why collecting all the information is key because you can make a decision that you feel good about and have all the pieces in front of you. Now, I think this is the part that everyone will be interested to look at. And I want you guys to tell me. I don't know if you guys know this. Okay. But if you have never spoken before, okay, you can make anywhere from $0 to $1,000. You can request anything from $0 to $1,000. You can accept anything from $0 to $1,000 on average as a beginner, never spoken before. If you're experienced, 1,000 to 10,000 per gig is normal. It's going to be on the higher side if you're a part of a speaker bureau. And I'm not going to talk about that, but you can look into how to join a speaker bureau where they send people, it's basically like having a manager or an agent just for speaking. And so because they're doing the work, they're going to pitch you at a higher fee. They're also going to take about 15%. Okay, it's just like having an agent. If you don't have a speaker fee, I'm sorry, if you're not part of a speaker bureau, then you decide within yourself what makes sense for you, what you deliver, how much experience you have, what audience you have, so on and so forth. So this is the range that I speak. And I will say that I'm not going to tell you exactly because it actually does vary per venue, but this is the range. I've considered things closer to the 1,000 and things closer to the 10,000. And it depends on a lot of different things. And I want to spend some time on this because I don't know how familiar you guys are with speaker fees and how comfortable you are talking about money or whatever, but I think it's really, really important to know what you could make as a speaker, even if you don't feel that, and even if you've never been pitched that, because a lot of organizations don't have that type of budget, but some do. And if you foreclose on yourself and say, hey, I'm only $500, when you're talking to an organization that was probably ready to give you 1,000 or 2,500 or 5,000, then you're kind of shooting yourself in the foot, not knowing what technically market value is for you. And then renown and celebrity, I mean, 10K is probably way too low, but like I said, Mel Robinson's 50K. Last I heard, Yvonne Orji was like 25K, 30K or so. Maybe it's higher because that was years ago that I heard. Yvonne Orji is a Nigerian actress. It's like up there. Okay, celebrity is like up there. Some are probably 100K. This is just speaking. This isn't like a concert. A concert's going to be more. But yeah. Okay, talk to me. I want to know from you guys. I see a question, T. I want to know from you guys, is this new? Is this interesting? Do you have a question about this? Somebody write in the chat box something, just kind of to wrap my head. Are you excited by this? Is this way off than what you expected? I just want to hear people's thoughts as I read Tulu's question. How do you recommend integrating this with the contact page on your website? Do you leave the contact page form as a more general, open-ended? Oh, sorry, it jumped up. Okay. Okay, I'm gonna wait for comments, but I'm also gonna go to my contact page, T, so that. Ooh, hopefully I don't have nothing crazy on my screen. What's going on? Wow. Okay. Let's go to isamadi.com and then request to speak. So this is my speaking page. There's my purpose statement, my topics. What do I write here? To note, Dr. Peace is a highly requested speaker at universities, conferences, and churches, and all speaking topics can be altered to your specific needs and audience requests. Please use the form below to request our event questionnaire. I need to take that out because there's no form below. So we can learn more about your event and make things happen. Oh, no. I'm right. I'm sorry. I'm thinking of something else. So what I have, T, is a regular contact page. And then once we get the email, we send the pre-event questionnaire from our side. Once upon a time, they could just download it from my site, but I actually like them to like touch base with us first before I even go through all of that, because I can even tell how they compose an email, whether it's even worth a response, to be honest. If that makes sense. But yeah, so I hope that's your question. You can tell me if I'm off, but I have a standard contact me. And then once we get that in the email and I know they want me to speak, that's when we send them the pre-event questionnaire. Okay, so Toulouse questions answered. Now let me look at what you guys are saying. Okay, helpful, in line with what I was expecting. Monica says, I always get nervous talking about budget, so the form is really helpful and helps yes, the awkward convo of establishing whether there is a budget. Yeah, girl, because if there's no budget at this point in my career, if there's no budget, there's no conversation. And that's just what it is. But like I said, in the very, very beginning, I was very, very lax with stuff like that, just to get like some stuff going. Okay, so let me return back to this because I think there's some stuff that was really important. Oh, it's like I love Zoom and hate it at the same time. And I think we were here. So I'm hearing a lot of this is helpful, but also this is what I was expected, which I'm really glad to hear. I'm really, really glad to hear. Another note that I'll make is I actually have a stated fee. Again, that's in this range. And I don't lead with that. I see their budget. But I also have two separate fees for nonprofit and for profit. So if a church is reaching out to me and it's a smaller church and I'm seeing like there's going to be like less than 100 people in attendance. I know it's a small church. I have enough information to know, typically, which is a lot of nonprofit stuff. Then I have a separate fee that's, below the 5,000 mark for them. If it's corporate or a big business or a school at large, not just like a student group, but like the whole university, a grad speech, any of that stuff, then I'm gonna first see their budget, but I'm only gonna accept a budget or state something that's above that 5,000 mark. And so that is, and it's, I honestly, because of the budget issue, because of the unique requests, because of a lot of negotiating that I do, I can't sit here and say that it's been the same. I can't sit here and say it's been the same. Now, we may get to a point where it is the same, where there's just like, no exception. This is my fee, whatever, this is what it is. But, and I feel like I have the right to do that, given my credentials. But for me, it's not about that as much as it's about, do I really want to be at this place? Is there other kind of value that they can provide? So I was taking a lot of different things when I was selling books, because I just wanted to get in front of people and sell books, right? So I wasn't speaking for free, but there was things that I was gracious with, because the money is money I put in my pocket and go buy something with. You sell me I get to sell a book. Okay, my best-selling ranking is going up. my credibility is going up. You know, my book is getting out there. I can book media gigs off that. So you really want to think about not just the money, but the whole value of what it can provide. Because to some of us, and for some of our goals, the money is actually the least valuable thing. I'll be real, to me. To that whole year I was marketing my book, I was like, I just need to get in front of people who are going to love this book and talk to people about me and get me at their churches to speak and so on and so forth. So just keep that in mind. I don't want to like belabor the point. Good. And at some point, your girl's going to be collecting 25K, 50K per gig. Okay, I'm going to speak it, but I'm just keeping it real. I'm not there yet. And some people think I'm there yet. I had a friend say, what's your charge? Like 25K? I was like, girl, I wish. It's not there yet. Yeah. So I don't want to belabor that point, but that's still, so when we talk about boosting your annual income, okay, adding 20, 30, 40K from 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 engagements, just ballpark is not a bad idea. Okay, when we talk about annual income. So you want to think about it like bird's eye view too, because I don't even like to speak that often. It still takes a lot for me. Okay, so more on step 3, accept or deny the request. So you consider or you accept or deny. You consider and then you accept or deny. Is that still great? Hold on. I just want to see. Oh. Okay, I think, okay. So step 3 is like send service agreement if you accept. So I think I'm talking to you guys about first accepting. So reasons to accept: passion, excitement, date time works for you, budget fee works for you. The budget fee doesn't work for you, but you could use the experience or the footage or the opportunity to sell something. Reasons to deny: no passion, not in your wheelhouse. I've definitely turned down speaking invitations before because they wanted me to talk about something I probably could research and talk about, but that's not fun to me. I want to talk about what I want to talk about. I want to talk about what's easy for me to talk about. Okay, I don't have this time to like, whatever. Date time just literally doesn't work. Budget doesn't justify your time. They can't fly you out and you don't got the money to fly you out either, you know? So just basic stuff. But if it's a yes for you, then here's what my assistant would say: Dr. Madi is looking forward to being with you all that day, or something like that. Like, yay. Would you complete the standard services agreement and return at your convenience? Please do also send us any paperwork you'd like us to complete on your end. So again, you're going to have the link to this, but this is just a very simple standard contract that I send. No lawyer has looked at this. In fact, I would, you know, I'm not even telling you to do what I do. I'm just telling you this has worked for me. And a lot of times, especially like universities, will send me very robust contracts and I'll just sign their contract and not even send this. So you can make that decision on your own. But if it's like me working with like a church or something, you know, this has sufficed. But my disclaimer is this is something I found online and made work for me. This is not something a lawyer looked at. So keep that in mind. Don't come for me like, but you said, you know, because I'm disclaiming, you know, I'm just giving you guys guidelines. And then here's another interesting piece. Additionally, this is if I'm accepting, you'll find an event writer. A few requests. We have to ensure the day goes smoothly. Let us know if you have any questions. And my event writer looks like this, where it's just a list of things I want to tell the people to have ready for me so that it's smooth. You can also kind of just do this in email, because a lot of the people that reach out say, we have this, we have that, but we don't have that. And they'll tell you exactly what they're working with. But if that hasn't come up naturally, then just, I would send this along and say, please have this, that, and a third. It just keeps everything like predictable and it makes you look that much more professional. If it's a no, okay, for these reasons down here, hi there, please see this personal note from Dr. Madi. So if it's a no because of date, time, all wheelhouse, it's very easy to say that. But if it's a no because of budget, I'm giving you guys my little spiel, okay? Hi there, please see this personal note from Dr. Madi. Then hi, you know, Brian, First, I want to thank you for considering me for your event. It's been an honor to be invited. While I'm genuinely enthusiastic about the topic, I'm unfortunately unable to accept unpaid speaking engagements at this time due to my commitments and the resources required to maintain my work. That said, I remain genuinely interested in the goal of your event. If in the future there are resources to help me participate in a similar capacity, I'd be happy to chat more. I wish you all the best with the event, and I'm confident it will be a great success. So I kind of hate people leaving with the idea that I'm all about the money, because I'm not, but I'm also just at a place where I'm not going to take an unpaid speaking gig. And I'm honestly not sure why you thought I would, to be honest. So I've composed this. I let it be a personal note from me so they can hear my heart and hear why, which is, you know, in that second part. And that's it. And I honestly feel like having verbiage like this to make your own can be really, really helpful. And again, everything can come from your actual assistant or your assistant in quotes. And it's a really, really beautiful thing. Okay, thoughts, feelings, questions. That's a great way to say no gracefully. Thanks, T. I've worked on that. Is it helpful, guys? Are we still helpful? We're coming to a close in a few minutes with this, but helpful? Yes, cool, making sense. Anybody? Okay, good. Oh, Rachel said this is perfect. That's all I needed. Holly says, yes. Lynette, thumbs up. Yes. Beautiful. Oh, this is so great. And I think I saw Malika come in. I don't know if she's still on here, but that made me very excited. Now, if it's a maybe because you want to negotiate, here's more verbiage, okay, that I'm not going to read right now, but basically just say, I like it, but my standard rate is this and that. Can you meet me a little bit closer? And then if they can, and this is literally recently happened. Somebody pitched me and I loved the idea. It was college, university, love the college, love everything. But the budget was disappointing. I'm like, you're like one of the biggest, at least Christian colleges. Like, what? You're in Santa Barbara. Like, bro, don't blame me. You know, like your school is next to Oprah's house. So we sent this, and all of a sudden they found, you know, I think it was $3,000 or $4,000 more all of a sudden. And all you had to do was ask. All I had to do was ask. So T already know. Yeah. So oh, nice. Beautiful. So that's that. So that's verbiage I think could be super helpful. And hi, Malika, by the way. So these will be tips I'll leave you to read on your own, but definitely update your calendar. And I share like how exactly I update my calendar, send bios and headshots. That's all super self-explanatory. The last thing I want to talk about, and we'll be done in 5 to 10 minutes, or pick up from this because I just really wanted to keep it around 90 minutes just for everyone's energy, and it's a Hollywood weekend, but that was being requested. Pitching is where a lot of you will need to start. Those who are going to be listening back, pitching is where a lot of you need to start. So I don't want to leave you hanging because, you know, if you've never spoken before, you're probably not going to get an email tomorrow that says, hey, come speak, but it's very, very easy to get into that. And my best advice is actually think about where you want to speak. My best advice for that advice is think about places you've attended or you've been a part of. I think a really great place to start with speaking is any schools you've been a part of. If they have chapels or they have student events, you know, grad student events, whatever the case may be, and you like, you know, can see yourself sharing, starting at places that you've been a part of is when they know you, it's very, very hard for them to say no. Now, there may not be a budget, okay, but you can start getting your feet wet there. But I also pay attention to conferences, like still to this day. If I'm scrolling through Instagram or Facebook and I see a conference that looks really interesting, that's up my alley, be it about mental health stuff or about publishing or book writing, whatever the case may be, I'm going to look and see who organized the event, and I'm going to log that information. And maybe right that week, or maybe just down the line when I'm in a pitching space, like I actually schedule pitching meetings with my assistant once or twice a year. We have one in a couple weeks where I sit down and I bring up all those contacts, and I tell her all the places I'm interested in speaking at, and then I compose the pitch, and then she sends the emails. But that's all you have to do, is just watch for things coming down your timeline, or organizations you've been a part of that you can see yourself speaking at, and make a note to pitch them at some point. You want to either send a DM or send an email, find a contact to actually request the booking contact. So something like, would you please direct me to who books your speakers? Okay, so you have like the right contact. And then you literally just send a pitch email. And so I have in here, let me see. Yeah, that was it. I have in here the elements of a pitch. 5 elements of a pitch. Once you get a contact, you have a very powerful thing in your hand. And the worst thing they can say is no. You have all the other steps about collecting information and booking your calendar and sending contracts. I think before that, though, if you look at this, I'll pick up here tomorrow when we're fresh, but I just wanted to kind of leave you thinking about this, since we just talked about the correspondence process. But I'm telling you, request a booking contact. Request a booking contact, like who you're going to send this email to, collect all the information. They may say, hey, yeah, we're interested in having you speak. Go fill out our speaker application. Or, hey, yeah, we're interested in having you speak. Let me know your rate. And then you change the conversation to, I actually collect all the information here, and go into that process we just talked about. Okay, but collect information is the key, whether they're going to send you a form or you're going to send your own form. Consider the request, sign the agreement, update your calendar, send bio and headshot. That's all the same. But when you're pitching, the biggest difference is you're actually sending a pitch. And there's 5 steps to every good pitch. Expressing your interest. I hope this email finds you well. My name is this. I'm reaching out to express my interest in being a speaker at whatever the event is. Having researched your theme of, restoration, I am confident I can add value to this year's event. Credibility, I'm a psychology professor, or grad student, or PhD student, or founder of this, and throughout my work I have achieved this or experienced this. Show credibility really quickly. My passion for the event restoration has driven me to share some personal anecdote that emphasizes your connection to the theme. Call to action, I'd be honored to be considered as a speaker. Should you see a potential fit, please let me know how you would like to proceed. If they respond and say, fill out this form, then you fill out the form. If they respond and say, yes, like I said, what's your rate, or whatever question they could ask, you want to go ahead and collect that information with your pre-event questionnaire. You just want to use common sense, but you want to collect information so you can make a decision. And then make sure that you leave your content information. So you literally just send a pitch, and you could have done this going to ChatGPT, okay? But you literally just send a pitch, wait to hear from them, and depending on what they say, follow the rest of those steps. And I would definitely start with something you have a personal connection to if you've never spoken before, or if you come across something you really feel aligned with and get contact for, and just send pitches out there. Like, it's really not something to and ha about. If you want to speak, you can speak. That's all for day 1. Let me take some last questions. I'll revisit that a tiny bit tomorrow morning, but I do want to spend most of tomorrow, especially because you guys are going to get these slides. And so I don't feel like I need to belabor the point on stuff that you can easily just copy and paste. I really want to spend tomorrow talking about crafting the perfect talk, and then the TED Talk stuff. And but yeah. And so T says, this is helpful. I think I always assume people had to reach out. Yeah. People send pitches all the time. Most things are being pitched, unless you're like a popular event. You're at a popular event, and you're trying to book keynote speakers so that you can fill your event. Those people are usually reached out to. Brene Brown has reached out to. Okay, Mel Robbins has reached out to. But someone like you, T, and myself, because I would consider us in the same sort of experience level, it can be a healthy mix of both. And you will find that you'll be reached out to more the more you're a little bit more seen, and you become a little bit more seen when you actually start to speak. So pitching is a really great place because you go out there, people remember you. Then when they are looking for speakers or talking to their pastor or talking to their dean or whatever, they remember, oh, Dr. Noah was actually really dope. Let me find her on Instagram, or let me, find her on LinkedIn or whatever, and see if she's interested in speaking. But being visible on stage, even if you don't have social media, you'll find that people will find you and start pitching to you because you got out there in the first place. So don't let waiting on nobody stop you, is what I'm saying. All right, guys, just give me some last words before I officially let us go. I mean, you can go, but just like, how was this for you? Anything helpful? Any last questions? I'm gonna wrap this up in 2 minutes, but just kind of want to see where you are at. Okay, thanks for sharing helpful insights. Of course, of course. Yeah, of course, of course. And that's all I see. Okay. You guys are great. Thank you, Claudia. That means a lot. Yes, so I'm hoping to see your faces tomorrow and see what what other people might join, because I know Friday and Saturday the days are different, but yay, Malika, I'm glad you're excited for tomorrow, and I'm glad you made it. And you guys are awesome. Like I said, a bunch of people signed up, but I know what it is. I know it's hard and it's a holiday weekend. So kudos to you for showing up, keeping the seats, keeping the energy up, and making me feel really, really good. I appreciate that. So I'll see all of your beautiful and blessed faces tomorrow by God's grace. Have a great rest of your Friday. Bye. You're welcome. You're welcome.
Bye, thank you.
Bye. Bye. You're welcome.